Hey everyone, it's Mari, and Kelly and I are challenging ourselves this week to create our first layouts with our stash kit that we created 2 weeks ago. And the challenge that we issued for this layout today is to use circles and to use some sewing. And so I'm going to be just working with this craft cardstock as my background and this next piece of pattern paper as my next layer on top of that. And I really liked this Studio Calico paper with the circles on it for this circle theme. And I'm just going to adhere that to that craft cardstock. I'm going to round the corners here first and just create a little bit more detail to this paper in one really quick, easy step. So I'm just going to stick that down, and now I'm going to start creating my layout on top of this. So I'm using this photograph of my daughter and my aunt, and I'm going to just mat that onto some yellow cardstock. And I'm going to use yellow and pinks and that really pretty aqua blue as well throughout the layout. So I'm just going to create a quick, easy little mat here, and then I'm going to start working in some circles into this layout. So I just took that documentary pattern paper with the really pretty flowers on it, and I cut a circle using my silhouette. And now I'm just going to take some other pattern paper from my stash kit, and I'm going to start creating some layers in behind that circle. So these are just a variety of those small paper pads that I put into, or pieces from small paper pads that I put into my stash. Or into my stash kit, sorry. So you can see that I'm just going to take a bunch of those different little pieces and try to work them into the layout. So that piece with the writing on it, or the print on it, is actually from We Are Memory Keepers Love Notes. And I really like the small piece, but I decided I wanted to see if I had the larger print in my stash, and I actually found it. So I added that into the kit as well as the small piece, or the 6x6 piece. So you can see I just wanted to add the 12x12 paper in there just so that I could get a longer piece of paper onto my layout. So I'm just going to use that longer horizontal piece underneath the photo just to kind of ground it a little bit. Now I'm going to take a bunch of different punches, and I'm going to create kind of a circular theme with some circles, but also with some flowers. And I'm just taking a bunch of the die cuts from my stash kit, and then of course incorporating that, combining that with a bunch of my punches, and I'm going to create my own embellishments here. So I'm going to use a variety of the pattern papers, some of the cardstock, and some buttons. And I think I might even pull a brad or two from my stash here as well to add into creating these little embellishments here. So this was fun, creating these little embellies, and it's super easy to do. And I think oftentimes we kind of forget that we can create our own things rather than always buying die cuts and so on. There's a lot of different things in our stash and in our supplies that we can use to do that. So I just tried to use some of my punches to create these things here for this circle theme. And those buttons are a million years old. I've had them in my stash for a really long time, and I just have decided that I want to try to get them on some layouts instead of just, using them on cards. They're great for cards too, obviously, but I'd have to make a lot of cards to use up all of the buttons I have in my stash. So this is a good way to do that, to get them onto some layouts. So I've just offset those pattern papers to the left of the circle, and I'm trying to incorporate those different colors into all of the different little cluster areas in the layout. So you'll see me doing that using those buttons and some of the different pattern papers as I go through. So I just wanted to put that photograph off to the side of the circle a little bit. I didn't want to plunk it right in the center. And you'll notice that the photograph has some flowers in it, and I wanted to keep those flowers over to I wanted to keep the people in the photograph sort of to the left, to the side, so that we could still see those flowers, because I have quite a floral theme going on here. So I wanted to bring the colors of the flowers out in that photograph as well. So I'm just going to take the edges of the papers, and I'm just going to bend them up a little bit just to bring them up off of the layout, to give the layout a little more dimension. And now you'll just see me starting to work on some of the clusters. So I took a piece of pattern paper, cut a really small circle, from that blue paper and made a little center for that little pink flower there. And now I'm going to take a button and I'm going to make it the center of that other little flower. And I decide I want to add a little bit of embroidery floss to the center of that flower as well, just to give it a little more detail as well. And that's another thing I have quite a bit of in my stash is some embroidery thread. So this is a good way to use that too, is to do some little things like this with it. So I'm just going to put that into the center of that button. And of course, it's great to do a little bit of hand sewing with your embroidery thread too. The sewing that I'm going to do on the layout today though is going to be with my sewing machine. And I do really like using my sewing machine on my layouts too, just to add a little bit of extra interest and detail to the layout as well. I'm going to take some of these little silver glittery hearts that I put in my stash kit. I'm going to add silver as a little extra sparkle here to this layout. And I'll take another one of those buttons and put some more of that really pretty pink thread in it as well. And I'm just going to do that, apparently off camera mostly. And I don't know, I often struggle with these fine little details with my hands. I wish I had nice, fine, delicate little hands. But anyway, so I've got that thread on there. I'm going to take a lot of glue dots and use them on this layout too. It's really easy to stick circular things down with glue dots, I find. And there's another one of those little hearts from, I think that was from Freckled Fawn or something like that. And now I just want to take another little circle and add it to that larger yellow circle, just to keep that circle theme going off to the right of the photo. And it's going to create kind of a center piece, I think, for that too. And I'm trying to remember, I think another button maybe there. Yep, putting some more thread in a button. And these are Stampin' Up! Buttons, and I think a couple of them here are shaped like little flowers. So they're really cute. And the colors work perfectly with what I was doing here for a color scheme. And so far I'm really enjoying working with this stash kit, and it is a lot of fun, and it's really made me realize how fun it is to create a kit using your own stash, and how awesome it is for using up a lot of the stuff that we have built up. And it's really been a good incentive for me to keep doing that. So these are just some glittery silver thicker words that I'm going to put up at the top. Or just one word, sweet, and then another heart. And now I wanted to bring that craft into the layout in another area here because of that craft in the background. I wanted to incorporate that into the main part of the layout as well. And I've just spelled the word auntie there. So there's my title. I'm almost done here. This was a really, really fun project to do with the stash kit, and next challenge Kelly and I are going to do with our stash kits again. So we'll see how the next one turns out as well. I'm just going to show you the sewing here that I did on the layout right there around the circle, and then on the side a little bit. Thanks so much for joining Kelly and I today. Make sure you check out her video too. I'll leave a link in the description below. And have an awesome day, and thanks for joining us for Scrap the Challenge this week. Bye bye.